My name is Jacob Sutter. I'm from Windsor School and I placed 4th in my class. Imagine yourself at the dinner table, getting ready to chow down on a mountain of food. Meanwhile, while you're eating to your heart's content, others are withering down to bone with a thin layer of skin covering them. But what do you care? You've never had problems getting enough to eat. But what if I told you some of the people you know and care for have? So many people are hungry in America. A lot of times we think as the hungry as the homeless on the street, but in reality, it could be the person right next to you. America is one of the richest nations in the world. But even with our industrialized wealth, we still have people who cannot afford to feed their families. 1 in every 6 Americans face hunger. These people have nothing and sometimes have to dig through the trash like dogs to survive. Life is not easy for them. Sometimes Americans have to choose between paying for utilities or buying food. In fact, 46% of Americans make this difficult choice every day. 1 in 7 people rely on food banks to feed their families. But this is a problem we created. We do not have a shortage in food. In fact, America makes enough food to feed us all for years. The difficulty comes in because America sends more food overseas than it does to its own people. Another thing that is making hunger a true struggle is the fact that we waste so much food every day. 40% of the food supplied to Americans is wasted. Next time you think of throwing away food that you've hardly touched or don't want, think about someone in need and remember to take less or only what you need. The world of tomorrow will be managed by our youth, and yet our young people may never be able to contribute their great minds or their able bodies. You see, hunger affects children in more ways than just being hungry. It affects brain growth and makes it harder for kids to learn. The number of kids that are in these atrocious circumstances with hunger is no small number. What if I told you over 22 million kids, just like me, are facing hunger? Luckily, at most American schools, there is most likely a reduced lunch program. The price of this lunch is reduced or even free, depending on the family's income. If you are a person that receives this type of lunch, you are far from alone. 10 million kids in America are in the same situation. However, kids are still hungry. In fact, No Kid Hungry, an organization whose goal is to wipe out hunger for all American kids, tells a story about a boy that had to dig through the trash at a school to feed his sister. And before you think that couldn't happen to me, remember, it can happen to anyone, even people like you and me. No one is invulnerable to hunger. For most of us, it could be just one paycheck away. Hunger seeps its way into our lives and tries to beat us down. But together, we can beat hunger. In fact, not all that long ago, our government gave $160 billion to organizations like SNAP who are feeding those that need food. The American government and organizations like SNAP are fighting hunger, but they cannot do it alone. Organizations like SNAP have set the stones we need for success, but now we, the people, must fight alongside them if we are to end hunger in America forever. It's as simple as donating to food banks or raising awareness. We can do this. Preston Morgan, a teacher, once said, "I'm enough of a realist to understand that I can't reach out to every child, but I'm more of an optimist to stand up and try."